Fatah. Mahmoud Abbas, the president of the Palestinian Authority, is a member of Fatah. Fatah is generally considered to have had a strong involvement in revolutionary struggle in the past and has maintained a number of militant groups. Fatah had been closely identified with the leadership of its founder and chairman Yasser Arafat, until his death in 2004, when Farouk Kadumi constitutionally succeeded him to the position of Fatah chairman, and continued in the position until 2009, when Abbas was elected chairman. Since Arafat's death, factionalism within the ideologically diverse movement has become more apparent. In the 2006 election for the PLC, the party lost its majority in the PLC to Hamas. However, the Hamas legislative victory led to a conflict between Fatah and Hamas, with Fatah retaining control of the Palestinian National Authority in the West Bank through its president. Fatah is also active in the control of Palestinian refugee camps. The full name of the movement is Harakat al-Tahrir al-Watani al-Filastini, meaning the Palestinian National Liberation Movement. From this was crafted the inverted and reverse acronym FATH, meaning opening, conquering, or victory. The word FATH or Fatah is used in religious discourse to signify the Islamic expansion in the first centuries of Islamic history, as in Fath al-Sham, the conquering of the Levant. Fatah also has religious significance in that it is the name of the 48th surah of the Quran which, according to major Muslim commentators, details the story of the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. During the peaceful 2 years after the Hudaybiyah Treaty, many converted to Islam, increasing the strength of the Muslim side. It was the breach of this treaty by the Quraysh that triggered the conquest of Makkah. This Islamic precedent was cited by Yasser Arafat as justification for his signing the Oslo Accords with Israel. The Fatah movement was founded in 1959 by members of the Palestinian diaspora, principally by professionals working in the Persian Gulf states who had studied in Cairo or Beirut and had been refugees in Gaza. The founders included Yasser Arafat, then head of the General Union of Palestinian Students at Cairo University, Salah Khalaf, Khalil al-Wazir, and Khaled Yashruti, then GUPS head in Beirut. Fatah espoused a Palestinian nationalist ideology in which Palestinian Arabs would be liberated by their own actions. Fatah became the dominant force in Palestinian politics after the Six-Day War in 1967. Fatah joined the Palestine Liberation Organization in 1967, and was allocated 33 of 105 seats in the PLO Executive Committee. Fatah's Yasser Arafat became chairman of the PLO in 1969, after the position was ceded to him by Yahya Hamouda. According to the BBC, Mr. Arafat took over as chairman of the Executive Committee of the PLO in 1969. A year that Fatah is recorded to have carried out 2,432 guerrilla attacks on Israel. Throughout 1968, Fatah and other Palestinian armed groups were the target of a major Israeli defense forces and Naif Havatma's breakaway organization, the Democratic Front for the Liberation of Palestine, withdrew their forces from the town. Fatah leaders were advised by a pro-Fatah Jordanian divisional commander to withdraw their men and headquarters to nearby hills. But on Arafat's orders, Fatah remained, and the Jordanian army agreed to back them if heavy fighting ensued. On the night of the 21st of March, the IDF attacked Karama with heavy weaponry, armored vehicles and fighter jets. Fatah held its ground, surprising the Israeli military. As Israel's forces intensified their campaign, the Jordanian army became involved, causing the Israelis to retreat in order to avoid a full-scale war. By the end of the battle, nearly 150 Fatah militants had been killed, as well as 20 Jordanian soldiers and 28 Israeli soldiers. Despite the higher Arab death toll, Fatah considered themselves victorious because of the Israeli army's rapid withdrawal. In the late 1960s, tensions between Palestinians and the Jordanian government increased greatly. Heavily armed Arab resistance elements had created a virtual state within a state in Jordan, eventually controlling several strategic positions in that country. After their victory in the Battle of Karama, Fatah and other Palestinian militias began taking control of civil life in Jordan. They set up roadblocks, publicly humiliated Jordanian police forces, molested women and levied illegal taxes, all of which Arafat either condoned or ignored. In 1970, the Jordanian government moved to regain control over its territory, and the next day, King Hussein declared martial law. By the 25th of September, the Jordanian army achieved dominance in the fighting, and 2 days later Arafat and Hussein agreed to a series of ceasefires. The Jordanian army inflicted heavy casualties upon the Palestinians, including civilians, who suffered approximately 3,500 fatalities. 2 Tossum.